Thank you for joining me here today, and what a beautiful day it is, and welcome to a response to Pope Leo XIV on his document, Mater Populi Fidelis, in relation to the titles for our beloved Queen Mary, and also in relation to Mary's cooperation in the salvation of the world. As I am a theologian, but today, viewers, I'm going to be taking a different slant from a theological or traditional viewpoint. I'm going to be sharing with you revelations that our beloved Queen of Mary has shared with me, and Jesus has shared with me, on this topic of Mary's exalted titles within the Church. There's been a lot of controversy over this particular document because it's concerning our beloved Queen of Heaven, Mary, and because despite a number of popes, saints, church fathers from centuries past right up until now have indeed called Mary Co-REDEMPTRIX and Mediatrix of all graces. And in this document, Pope Leo XIV is saying that title, those titles, should not be used for our Queen Mary. So you can see the confusion. One has to wonder why Pope Leo XIV is approving this document. As I am a theologian, and I have gone over this document many, many times, and it appears that the theme in this is that Pope Leo XIV does not want Mary given titles, exalted titles, that may divert them away from the devotion to Christ. Now, viewers, and Pope Leo, I was called over 20 years ago to consecrate the Eucharist within the Catholic Church. Mary has been helping me on this called ordination and has revealed to me the revelations I am now going to share with you. So only last year I received these revelations. A beautiful Mary directed me to a site where Pope Francis was presiding over a Mass for the Feast of Our Lady of Guadalupe in St. Peter's Basilica. Now, he was being interviewed about that Mass and about Our Lady of Guadalupe, and the topic of Co-REDEMPTRIX came up. Pope Francis rejected the title of Co-REDEMPTRIX for Mary, saying that Mary is a mother, a disciple. Exaggerated titles that were given to her does not change the essence of Mary. That Mary is a mother and a woman. That our beloved Queen Mary would not want to take away anything from her son. Now, as I was listening to that, I thought, oh, well, that's interesting. It was later that day that the Virgin Mary visited me, and she said the words, "How do you think Jesus felt? I am his mother. He is my son." I thought, I think Mary's talking about that interview with Pope Francis about the titles. I thought, I've never thought of it like that. I've never thought how Jesus might be feeling, how Jesus feels about that. I had to go and do other things. But later that night when I was going to bed, I was praying to Mary, and our beloved Mary suddenly put those words in my head again. How do you think Jesus felt? Now, I had a vision of Mary and Jesus together, sitting in high-backed wooden throne-like chairs, nothing fancy. And suddenly, Jesus leaned over towards his mother. Our beloved Mary was sitting at the right hand of Jesus, and he leant over. I could only see the side of his face. And as he leant over, he said these words to our beloved Mary. And Jesus said, "Thank you, Mother. Thank you for sharing in this salvation for me. Thank you for the pain and suffering that you went through for me. I want you to be honored forever within the church, by its people and for its people. And suddenly, Mary spoke to me and placed words in my mind of what God and Jesus wanted to say to her. How Jesus and God felt. Mary sitting at the right side of Jesus. God and Jesus would say to her, Jesus would want his mother to be honoured, to be venerated for her part in the salvation of the world, and to be acknowledged by its people that she did that. To dishonour her in such a way as to speak of her as a woman and mother, and not in relation to her divine role in her participation in the divine mysteries. To deny her place as Jesus wants her beside him is causing the Sacred Heart of Jesus to bleed. It is hurting Jesus that his mother is not being upheld within the church as she should be. Those words were spilling through my mind. And Mary placed in my mind the bleeding heart of Jesus. Jesus, with the blood dripping from his heart. This was a lot to consider, but I understood. It was clear. I went to bed. I went back to sleep, and the next day when I was driving to work, the vision of Mary and Jesus again appeared to me, both again sitting in high-backed wooden throne chairs, Mary sitting at the right side of Jesus. And Jesus said these words to his mother, our beautiful Mary. Jesus turned to his mother and said, I can do this for you, Mother. I can do this. But Mother, they want to hear your voice. They want to hear your voice. The people, Mother, they need to hear your voice. Now, viewers, I often wondered what Jesus meant by that and why Jesus didn't use his voice. I thought at first perhaps it might have been because Mary is the mother of the church, and because of that Mary has the authority to speak out. But then only recently, when I was putting this together for the clip, I really wondered about that, and Jesus answered me. Jesus said to me, if Mary does not have a voice within the Catholic Church, if her voice is being diminished, if her titles are being diminished to a purely human level, then what does that mean for Jesus' voice? In that document, viewers, Mater Populi Fidelis, there are over 300 references to Mary's human nature. Woman, Mary, mother, motherhood, maternal mother. There was about 6 references to the Virgin Mary and 1 reference in the footnote with the title Queen. And Mother of God about 7 or 8 times. At the Council of Ephesus in 431, there was a huge controversy around Mary's role. Now, Nestorius and his followers believed that Christ had 2 natures separately, one divine and one human. And so Mary was the mother of Christ, not the mother of God, because she gave birth to the human Jesus. Now, in our Catholic tradition, we believe that Jesus is 2 natures in the one person, both divine and human. And so they clarified that Mary was indeed the mother of God, the God bearer, and gave Mary the title of Theotokos. We have to be very careful, you see, because Jesus is saying to Mary, if your voice is lost, then what will happen to my voice? Where will the incarnation, where will the divinity, the prophetic revelations that Mary fulfilled in Isaiah, that she would bear a son, Jesus? So it is up to Mary, it is up to us, the faithful people of God, to save Mary's voice. Mary is not just a mother and a woman. She is the mother of God. She, with the Holy Spirit, brought about the incarnation of Jesus. She has 4 dogmas. She is without sin. She is the mother of God. She went up to heaven, body and soul. She has a right to sit at the right hand of Jesus. Once we start denouncing Mary's role in salvation, her pivotal role, not just, as it says in that document, cooperating, but part of, essentially a part of. As Saint Teresa of Calcutta says, no Mary, no Jesus. For Pope Leo XIV to put in here that it takes away from Jesus if Mary has such titles of Co-REDEMPTRIX and Mediatrix. They cannot be separated. The saints have said that as well. There can be no separation. They're connected. The incarnation, the birth of Jesus, the rising of the Messiah, Christianity, it's where it all began. It is the foundation. That is why Jesus is saying, you have to speak out, Mary. Because look what they're doing to you, and what will they do to me? Where does that leave me? Where does that leave God? Our God, faithful people, our God. And as Mary has said to me, tell them to keep praying. Our beloved Queen of Heaven said, tell them, keep praying. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Thank you.